Well, the holdup of funding for Ukraine raises a lot of concerns in other parts of the world, too, and right here at home.
And that includes someone who's been documenting the developments in Ukraine for years now. Filmmaker Steve Boston explains the change he's now seeing from those right there in the fight. It was just more than 4 years ago that Steve Boston sat down with me to talk about his series Kitchen Table, the Central North Carolina documentary filmmakers conversation that took place in Kyiv with prominent members of the Ukrainian administration quickly turned to their concern that Vladimir Putin would invade. After that did indeed happen, Boston continued his conversation safely away, though, from the fighting. He shared many of them with us, giving us a firsthand perspective of what was happening on the ground. But now a lot of the hope we saw in the beginning seems to be waning.
To be honest, I'm not optimistic. I fear for Ukraine.
There is great concern the money and weapons will dry up. The disagreements in Washington over how to move forward feed that worry. And then there is the public awareness part and the role of media.
They're aware of it, that the Israel-Hamas conflict has taken Ukraine out of the news, but the conflict in Ukraine hasn't stopped. If anything, it's more.
Putin's promise of 450,000 more troops and threats of escalation have led to open conversations about a potential draft of not just men, but even perhaps women.
But I can tell, Russ, when I talk to these people, they're not really maybe spelling out it like I am, but I can read between the lines and I can feel the vibe. And just like anything, if you have a problem in your life, you're not going to go tell everybody about it, but you can tell by the vibe and the energy, you know. So I'm concerned.
Ukraine has made it clear that it does not want to negotiate. Boston says he can understand that when you consider the sovereign state was invaded and the tens of thousands of lives lost.
But then you have to ask, like, what is the end game? Can Ukraine defeat Russia militarily with less and less manpower and less equipment? I don't think so. Unless they get more manpower and they get more equipment, they get more funding, they could. And
there's all kinds of debate as to what those solutions might be if there were to be any sort of negotiations, as hard as that might be to stomach for a lot of people.
Right.
But the big concern in Europe remains what happens past Ukraine if this continues.
Exactly.
Other European nations are, border that country.
Very interesting perspective. Thanks for that.
That's right.